Bitcoin testing a very dicey area on the charts. All of us watching, on standby, waiting for the next Bitcoin move. Will support hold? Will Bitcoin get the bounce and a breakthrough resistance for a bullish move to the upside? In this video, I'll break down all of the short-term charts and what you need to watch for in the hours ahead. What is up, everyone? Welcome to Crypto Capital Venture. Hit the subscribe, hit the like, turn the notification bells on for the very best technical analysis. I do Bitcoin videos like every day. Let's jump into the video. So here's Bitcoin on the 6 hour. I mean, it is kind of dicey territory. Everybody on standby, truly on standby. I mean, look back here even. Bitcoin, kind of a 6 hour candle right here on the back of the screen. Nobody knew what was about to happen. I mean, nobody knows what's about to happen. And similarly, nobody knows what's about to happen. But there are clues on the charts that we can break down, and that's what I want to discuss in this video. This starts from the other day. This transpired. This is from March 20th, 3 days ago. We have another very short-term Fibonacci resistance that will dictate the direction of Bitcoin. It is now a swing high to swing low back to an exact Fibonacci resistance. Okay. Now let me chart that Fibonacci resistance, because this is what transpired. This is why we track. This is why I do these videos, because the resistance held, obviously, swing high to swing low. Bitcoin was just trading in that video at the Fibonacci channel that you see here, the 786 to the 618. Barely even broke above it at any time on this 6 hour chart. We got the resistance, we bounced down, and here we are. Now, there are some very important things to watch for in this mess of charts as Bitcoin consolidates. And I just want to note something. If you zoom out here on the charts, Bitcoin right now, it's just like, for me at least, when I look at this at 6 hour, I'm just kind of like, man, Bitcoin's really not doing anything. Even from here, 62,000 swing high, 54,000. It's like an $8,000 difference. It's really just consolidating. At the end of the day, if you zoom out on the charts, look actually how not volatile Bitcoin has been lately. Even going back here, January, right? Huge dip, followed by another huge dip, parabolic gains, huge dip, gains. And then here we are right here lately, from this swing high on March 13th, the last 10 days, Bitcoin really not doing much. Although we're watching Bitcoin kind of move to the downside, altcoins a little bit more volatile. It really is truly consolidating. But now let's dig in to look at what this looks like. We got the resistance. Where's support? What does downside look like? Let's talk about it. I tweeted this a little bit ago. As Bitcoin continues its consolidation, I guess it's time to start tracking this falling wedge pattern. It's Twitter. I'm not going to delete it. I was in the kitchen charting on my phone. I just threw this out there. And I really want to take it back, because if we're really being realistic about the charts, I see more of a descending triangle. Now, I want to break down the descending triangle. First off, let's talk about the basics. We have a couple touches to the upside, upper trend line. We have 3 touches to the downside, lower trend line. It's in play. 61% to the apex is right here. That is the average breakout area according to Bukowski. We get that average breakout area 61 to 65% to the apex. That's number one. This is data based on 1,300 trades. I use a lot of Bukowski and his data. I adjust some things to compensate for the volatility of crypto, but this has been on point for me, at least, for years. And I have like over 1,000 videos on YouTube. And so when applying these rules, and I don't know if I've applied these rules for all of those years in every single video, but when we're talking about patterns like this, 61% to the apex is a good rule of thumb to use. It's not guaranteed. We can get a breakout to the downside tonight, right? So be prepared for that. Think really, truly objectively when you're looking at these charts. But let's break down the technicals and how this might play out. I want to really talk about a couple of rules here. What he states is that Bitcoin, well, not Bitcoin, but the throwback rate or pullback rate of whatever you're trading is 60% throwback, 58% pullback. The reason that's important is because now that we're at a lower trendline area, right, this third touch, a pullback would be Bitcoin breaks the trend line and pulls back to the pattern. He's saying that 58% of the time that happens, and we see this happen so often for Bitcoin. Bitcoin does this, right, in these patterns. We track symmetrical triangles all of the time because they're just always playing out on the screen. So in terms of this happening, I want to discuss the potential downside in the hours ahead. Not because I'm just sitting here, I'm like, hey, I think it's going to happen, everybody. You can talk to people that personally know me. I'm always talking about downside. I could be at lunch with a buddy and I'm just always talking about targets to downside. It's how my mind is wired. It's probably why this channel isn't like a hype channel. I'm very bullish. I'm so bullish on crypto and Bitcoin. But at the end of the day, in my mind, for some reason, I'm always just like, all right, what are the targets to downside? I think I always want to be prepared for just the pain. You know, I want to be ready for it. I don't want to just be like shocked by it, as often is the case for crypto markets. So to the downside, since we're testing a lower trend line, let's talk about it. Right now, target to the downside, 45,000. But applying the rule of a pullback potential, a break to the downside, I want to explore the $50,000 area because there's a bunch going on there. Number one, let's talk about this for support. This more midterm view, swing low to swing high, we have a Fibonacci channel. And that 618 line is exactly at or right around the $50,000 area on the charts. That's one thing. Going over here to the daily chart, the 50-day moving average, such a crucial area for Bitcoin. The 50-day moving average right around this blue line, $50,000. So that's double support. That's another area to look for. Now, lastly, the third area is a mental area. It's the markets looking at $50,000 and saying, hey, there's support there. It's kind of that instead of resistance now, $50,000, it's kind of like, all right, is there support there? So three really confluent areas of potential support for Bitcoin at the 50,000. The reason I'm talking about that is if we get a break to the downside, what support will look like? What demand will be there? What will the daily candle look like in an environment like that? Are we going to get a nice wick and a bounce back into the triangle? That could be extremely bullish. That's just one scenario I want to kind of play out on the screen. The other thing I want to talk about is this. If Bitcoin does make a break to the upside, what does resistance look like in the very short term? And, you know, this can play out very quickly because it's really not that far to the upside. Swing high to swing low. And we have a Fibonacci resistance area to the upside now, which is right around $57,200 to $58,500. All of that entire channel confluent with this upper trend line here of the descending triangle. And you can just tell, I mean, Bitcoin is consolidating down here at the lower trend line, and it's kind of like trying to make a decisive move on the 6-hour candle right now, and nothing's happening as I do this video. Interestingly enough, usually after I upload a video, something crazy happens. And it really seems that way for me. I don't know if it's like consistently true, but I'll really be watching once I upload this video if something happens. And I'm sure it's 100% a coincidence, everybody. But ultimately, this is what I'm watching. It's this lower trend line area. I would love to see separation back above higher highs, higher lows to at the very least test the $57,000 to $58,000 area. Will it happen? Time will tell, everybody. Again, going over to these rules, you know, it says can be in any direction, but is upward 53% of the time. So it's not one of those patterns that gives us at least into the 60s, 64, 65% of the time. We're literally like so close to 50-50. And that's where we are. And, you know, what we're waiting for are confirmations. Now, if Bitcoin made a move to the downside, I'm really not even short-term bearish on Bitcoin. Even if we're sitting at like 52,500 in the morning, trickling down, this is the area I want to watch. Short-term bearish for me happens when we're breaking below 50,000 and we're starting to kind of close 6-hour candles below, but we're not there yet. And that's kind of what I'm watching for. Move to the downside, we're looking at, I mean, I think it's like a 6% move to the downside from where Bitcoin is right now. It's like, okay, so it's 7.5% to $50,000 to the downside. Could a move like that happen? Absolutely. We know it can happen in minutes. What happens in that area is what I would be watching for. I really wanted to discuss downside just because we're testing key support. And I think we all enjoy upside. There's no stress there, right? When Bitcoin's mooning, we're celebrating. We're doing, bullish videos. We're tweeting bullish things if Bitcoin's making a move to the upside. But I think what's most valuable probably to you is to discuss if support fails. And that's kind of why I'm sitting here doing this, talking about this, what to be prepared for, or at the very least, what I'm looking for. This is what I'm watching for. What does $50,000 do? What does this entire support channel do? Do we get a pullback back into the descending triangle? That's kind of what I'm watching on Bitcoin. Wanted to throw it out there. At the end of the day, everybody, I encourage you, zoom out on the charts. We are just in the middle of this bull market. In terms of bull cycles, we're right here comparatively, all the way back here in the last bull market on the way up. So time will tell. Give Bitcoin some time to consolidate, at the very least on the short-term charts, and especially on the long-term macro charts. Hit the subscribe, hit the like. I'll see you in the next video. God bless.